All right, that's the cue. All right, good morning. I'd like to call the Skagit Transit Board of Directors meeting of October 16th to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Larissa, you can help me out with the roll call of members, please.
Certainly. Commissioner Browning. Commissioner Janicki. Here. In place of Commissioner Wiesen, we have Assessor Danny Hagan. Mayor Donovan.
Here.
Mayor Johnson. Here. Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mayor Aslett. Councilperson Stavik.
Here.
Councilperson Vanderstoep. Judy Jones. Tracy Cook.
She's in the process of coming on.
Yeah, it looks like online is just catching up to us. Yeah. I do believe we have a quorum. So we will move on to number 4 is an executive session. We do not require the executive session, so we are not going to move into executive session. So we're on to item 5, which is public comment. So if you're present in here, you get to go first. Okay, nobody here. Now looking for raised hands online for public comment. Okay, I don't see any. And so we'll move on to item 6, which is our consent agenda, items A through C. Over to the board.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, a motion by Mayor Donovan, a second by Councilmember Stavig to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're on to item 7. These are our full discussion and these are action items. 7A, this is looking for board's approval of Skagit Transit Continuity of Operations Plan. Crystal.
Good morning, board. The Continuity of Operations Plan, also known as the COOP, was prepared by Skagit Transit to develop, implement, and maintain a viable COOP capability. The plan compiles with applicable internal agency policy, local and state regulations, and supports recommendations provided by FEMA. Circular 1 and 2. This plan will be distributed internally within Skagit Transit and external organizations that might be impacted by its implementation upon board approval. This went into the board packet last month, or was distributed last month for a 30-day review, and also went to our AFSCME partners for review as well. Staff recommends the board approve Skagit Transit Continuity of Operations Plan.
All right, hopefully you've had time to take a look at that. And any questions for Crystal or staff? Okay, entertain a motion then if there are no questions.
This is Janicki. I move we approve the continuity of operations plan as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Janicki, a second by Mayor Aslett to approve the Skagit Transit Continuity of Operations Plan. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excellent.
Carries. On to item 7B. This is look for board approval of the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. Crystal.
Just a moment, I'm trying to find the board report for it. Amongst the 72 pages of
That's-
COOP.
I'm almost on it myself. Okay.
Larissa found it. Thank you. Okay. On July 18th, 2018, the FTA published the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, also known as the PTASP final rule, which requires certain operators of public transportation systems that receive federal funds under the FTA's urbanized area formula grants to develop safety plans that introduce and processes and procedures to implement safety management systems, SMS. The PTASP rule became effective July 18th, 2019 rather, and you'll see there's a series of updates that we provided to the board throughout the years to make sure that we're in compliance with the PTASP through the FTA. The 2024 update of the Skagit Transit's PTASP was submitted via email to the Board of Directors and AFSCME leadership for a 30-day review on September 19th, 2024, and is now on the October agenda for approval. Was also distributed to the Skagit Transit Safety Committee on August 14th, 2024, and was approved by that board on, that committee rather, on September 11th, 2024. Once approved by the board, this document will be forwarded to the Skagit Council of Governments and the Washington State Department of Transportation. Staff recommends that the board approve the updated PTASP plan for 2024. Thank you.
Just for any members of the public that might be watching online, this is not a new plan. This is an update of the plan.
Update since 2018 or 19.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Stavig, a second by Mayor Donovan to approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan as presented. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. On to item 8. This is informational items, and we'll start with the CEO update. Crystal.
Okay, well, I am definitely not trying to have one of the shortest board meetings in history, but it looks like we're trending that way. But this is I have a short report out for the board. And we'll start with recruitment. The finance analyst position is still posted. Staff will finish the second round interviews, second meeting, second group. First round for the second group. There was not a successful candidate from the first recruitment on Thursday, and we'll hopefully make a selection. Our last bus driver class rather started today, and there's 5 in that class. Our procurement position is still open. In the interim, we're using a contractor for some of our procurement services until we get the position filled, and we have 1 vehicle servicer position open. For KPIs, our long-term absences are down to 7 from 8. And when I report long-term absences, I'm primarily looking at bus drivers, and that's mostly because of how we're tracking their overtime. We had 60 hours and 15 minutes of canceled service for the month of September, which was up from 40 hours and 41 minutes in August. That was with supervisors driving 9 hours in 4 minutes to offset or to prevent some of the cancellations. Overtime is up. It's up to 70,000. I didn't write the full number in here. It's up to around $70,000 in September versus 57, almost $58,000 in August. Governance committee updates. Unfortunately, don't have a good update for you. I've only completed 2 financial policies since the last board meeting. We've had a lot of payroll issues. The last 2 pay periods, and our finance team has been focused on fixing those issues. We did bring in an outside payroll company to take over payroll. We're in the process of giving them the information they need for implementation. We hope to have them take over by January 1st. They believe that they can take over by the November 20th paycheck, which means they actually take over for us on November 1st. We think that may be a little too aggressive, and we want to make sure that we're doing it right instead of doing it fast. So we have a goal of getting it done no later than January 1st, starting with them January 1st. But if we can get it done before that, we're working really aggressively to try to make that happen.
Can I ask a question on that?
Of course.
in some ways, the January first cutover makes a lot of sense in the financial world. Things are broken into years, but on the other hand, if there's significant challenges within the existing system, how does that look for year-end reporting W-2s and all the other year-end payroll reporting that has to be done?
Yep.
Confidence in the accuracy of it in the current system.
Yep, that's a great question, and they feel confident they could take over on November first and be able to run all of those reports accurately. You're right, it does make sense to do it January first. However, we've had such significant problems, and Tracy can attest to that with and unfortunately it's hitting our bus drivers the most just because they're the biggest group of hourly employees. It's mostly impacting hourly employees, although there have been some salaried employees impacted too. I believe it's significant enough issues that we need to try to move over to the new payroll system as quickly as possible. Our employees deserve to have the confidence that we're paying them correctly.
Your paycheck is too important to individuals to not have the trust that it's accurate.
I feel like we've lost a bit of that trust, to be honest, with some of our employees, and we're working really hard to try to gain that trust and confidence back in our employees that we're paying them correctly. So part of doing that is we have brought in a third-party person to come and do an audit. It's really only been two pay periods. It's been impacted. It's the September 25th pay day. So, and then the October 5th, we brought in a third-party person to do an audit. She has completed, actually it was two different people. The first person ended up having a personal issue, so they had to be replaced. They have gotten through, we had them start with the September 25th pay period because we did make some adjustments to, or the October 5th, excuse me. We had them start with the October 5th pay period because we had already made some adjustments to the September 25th pay period and had some individuals paid that we underpaid. So they've completed the October 5th payday. Our financial manager, Chris Arkle, is now going through to look at every single inquiry that employees have submitted to make sure that we've captured all of their concern. Once he's done, not only double checking her work, but checking the individual reports that have come in from employees, then we're going to move on to the September 25th one. The person that we brought in, the third party person that we brought in, has almost completed the September 25th pay audit. They have about 5 or 6 more days left to do. She unfortunately had a personal issue today and is not here today. We're hoping she's back tomorrow. She can finish tomorrow. Chris will do the same thing. He'll double check her work, and then he'll go through and look at all the inquiries that we've received from employees to make sure that we're addressing all of their individual concerns. Once that's done, we had an emergency meeting with ASME last week or week before, I think it was, to specifically address the payroll issues that we're having. And we're just waiting to hear back from the leadership team, whether they want that to go on a special paycheck or whether they want it to go. Now we missed obviously the October 20th ones that would have to go on to the November 5th paycheck. And there's different employees want it for different reasons. Mostly because the special check that we cut for the September 25th check, our system is set up in such a way that if employees have a standard deduction takeout, especially an extra deduction for federal income taxes or maybe a DRS contribution, that was getting taken out of the special check and the employees didn't necessarily want it taken out. But our financial system is so antiquated that if we tried to take it out, I was afraid it was going to break something else. And so we ended up leaving that in. And so as we fix these 2 pay period issues, that's why we want to partner with AFSCME and make sure their employees know what the 2 options are. Either you're going to end up having those deductions come out again on this extra paycheck, or we roll it over to the next pay period's paycheck and they get, it just gets included in there. The other thing that we're committed to doing is once we feel like we finished the audit and paid everybody, whether it be by a special paycheck or roll it into the November 20th paycheck, if there's any employee that still feels like their paycheck is incorrect, we're committed to sitting down and going through their actual paycheck with them. Because again, it's our responsibility to make sure that employees feel confident that they're being paid correctly.
I'd just like to, Tracy, I appreciate the union working with management to help get this right. I know it's pretty challenging for everybody, but I know we'll get there. So
I'll have to say our AFSCME leadership team has been fantastic. I know that, Tracy, I know that you're getting a lot of, I recognize that. I was in the driver's room this morning and I got it. So I understand that you're under a lot of pressure to get this fixed, and I feel the same pressure. So please, we'll work together and get it done. But thank you for your grace.
Has, not knowing the significance of the corrections or the, I assume, underpayments, isn't a third option just to do a payroll advance to those who are the most severely affected or who need that cash flow faster, instead of doing a special payroll where all those deductions get doubled up? And if you were to do that, is that a policy that would require board acknowledgement? Because I don't know that we normally do cash advances through the agency.
We actually do have something, I believe, in our policy. I'm trying to remember since we updated the PPM. I know that we did have that historically. That's where we ran into that issue with DRS, remember?
Well, anyway, I just don't want to see retirement stuff and deductions doubled up like that. That seems like a even more stretch.
I mean, I understand that when employees, they have a certain amount of money that they're expecting to be able to pay their bills. And I totally understand that. It's not like the employees are losing money, because if it's a 457 deduction, it's going into their 457. So they're not losing the money technically. It's just not money that they have to pay their bills. And that's why I want to give the employees, but I feel like it almost needs to be one or the other, or we can have further discussions on how we do that. I do think that I know we had language in our policy that allowed for payroll advancements, but that's when the agency was paying once a month. I believe that language was changed. However, that's a great question, and we'll look into that. And again, we'll work with the AFSCME leadership team to figure out what works best for employees. Yeah. Yeah, good point. We'll explore all options. And again, and I will say that, we've actually had more employees that have been overpaid than underpaid. So, and which I don't like that either, because obviously as a government agency, we can't overpay employees. So we'll have to claw back. And I know that, and I suspect that there's going to be a lot of people that are upset about that and want us to go over their paycheck with them. And so we'll do that. We'll do whatever we have to do to A, make it right, and B, make sure that people feel confident that they're getting paid correctly. And that's, other than apologizing profusely, which I feel like I've done a number of times, I don't know what else to do, but we are really trying to get this figured out because it's important. We have to do it.
anything else on the update?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else on payroll?
No, good point. We all recognize how important it is.
Just really,
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, of course. Can you please, so
your
people
micro-
online can hear you?
Make sure. Yeah,
Well, people online can't hear you. It's not on. I don't believe it's on. I don't think it's on.
Payroll Northwest is the new group that's coming in.
Pay Northwest.
Pay Northwest,
Mhm.
are they actively now within our system loading everything that they need to load to kind of be ready to go in November, if that's a possibility? Or when do they actually come and take over our system?
So great question. They're not in our system at all. It's us providing the information to them to upload into their system. So when I say that they're taking over payroll, everybody will be submitting time directly into their system. It's not going to be our financial system anymore. It's going to be directly to them. And again, so great question. And in addition to that, one of the things that we're looking at is making sure that we have time to train everybody properly. So that's one of the things that we're looking at with the rollout and the implementation, is making sure that we're going to do some train the trainer stuff with them. And then especially for your members, we'll make sure that we have supervisors or finance staff or whatever we need so that they're on site with your team, making sure that they can log in properly and punch their time correctly. And does that answer your question? Okay, if there's no other payroll stuff, I want to just give a brief overview on ridership. Again, a full ridership report is included in your packet. Fixed route is still down about 7.03% and fixed ridership, fixed route 7.03, excuse me, and para 7.72, and that's pre-pandemic. I also want to point out that we provided 5,265 rides to youth last month, which was approximately 12% of our overall ridership. One of the things that's really important to us for tracking is because that is funded by the Climate Commitment Act, and we do have to provide those reports to the state every year. A full finance report is included in your packet. I did want to point out that sales taxes are flat from July of 23 to 24, which is what we're reporting today. But year over year, we're down about 2%, which I think is pretty consistent with what's happening with the cities and county. Last thing I have is some of the community events that we're going to be participating in. Veterans Stand Down, Skagit County Fairgrounds, October 18th. Phase 2 Long Range Transit Plan in Concrete, October 22nd. The Fall Spooktacular in Mount Vernon, October 26th, Mount Vernon Market, I guess that says. Long Range Transit Plan, Skagit Station, November 1st. Dia de los Muneros, excuse my bad, thank you, my bad Spanish, but apparently that means Day of the Dead. Skagit Central Library, November 2nd. Veterans Honor Parade in Burlington, November 16th. And that concludes my CEO report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the staff for adding, I think the board, a few of us asked for this descriptions of the routes in the ridership report.
Oh, yes.
So thank you for.
Yeah, thank you.
But
Yes,
so we
thank
can,
you.
so we can,
Well, I'll take.
we don't have to
these.
memorize the
Yes.
route numbers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions on the report? Okay, so that covers the ridership report. Judy, CAC report?
Yes, thank you. I do have that ready for you all. And of course, at our October meeting, with the staff reports were given, along with an overview of the Skagit Transit events, that Crystal just outlined. One of the things that happened, of course, was the CAC members. We had a few that participated in a couple of the Skagit Transit ride-alongs for the National Week Without Driving Challenge. And they had some positive reports on there. They are encouraged to share their experiences with the sponsoring site, which is America Walks, plus the Disability Rights of Washington, their transportation director, Cecilia Black, because they want to try to develop a storyboard and, from year to year on the experiences of the different localities in the National Week Without Driving. They were both teams really, they were able to talk with the drivers about the activity, the annual event, and we're also able to talk with some of the other ridership as well. So I really appreciate participation on that. Next thing is our nominations are coming up. They've officially opened, and for people in the Zoom world, they can turn in their nominations to our to Cheryl Willis, and then we will officially open the nominations and vote, and then bring that vote to the next board meeting in November. Then the other thing, there was an event guidelines document that's been developed and handed out to CAC members who wish to actively participate in future market events along with Skagit Transit officials. Further clarification and discussion are going to take place at our November meeting. And then one other little tidbit is a new Skagit Valley non-driver Facebook group has been established by and for ridership in the area. It's independent of Skagit Transit. And the goal of these groups like this is to give riders of area mass transit a platform for reporting and to also improve recommendations to go to Skagit Transit and announce events of interest to area non-drivers. And that is all I have on my report, and I will be glad to take any questions. Respectfully submitted, Judy Jones, CAC Chair.
All right, any questions for Judy or for the CAC report? Okay, that takes us to item 9, which is adjournment. Any further business before the board? If not, I will adjourn the meeting. Have a good day. Thank you.